The moment Frank Castle stopped fighting for revenge and started fighting for protection, he became more dangerous than ever. Finally, after a long wait, the Punisher. One last kill came out. It turned out much better than expected. The story started with a small puppy. A local gangster killed it in cold blood. This told us the world was lawless and cruel. Then we saw Frank Castle. He was in hiding. He went between abandoned neighborhoods, old warehouses and broken shelters. He tried to stay away from cops and criminals. Both groups still wanted him dead, but his quiet life did not last. Isabella Ma Gnucci came back into his life. She pulled him into the world of organized crime again. Ma Gnucci was the head of the biggest criminal group left in New York. She was powerful and very dangerous. She was also obsessed. Years ago, Frank killed her sons. That happened during his first big war on crime. That attack destroyed much of the old Gnucci empire. It also started the Punisher's bloody legend in the city. At that moment, the special also showed Frank's condition. He was tired, he was broken. This fight was not just another mission. It felt very personal. It felt like his most destructive fight yet. Meanwhile, Ma Gnucci's hatred for Frank never cooled. It grew worse over the years. It turned into something sick and very personal. She used what was left of her criminal empire. She hired private soldiers and old underworld contacts. She pulled Frank back into their never-ending conflict. She wanted to destroy him once and for all, so she put a huge bounty on Frank's head. Then she leaked his location to assassins and criminal groups across New York. A real manhunt began against the former Punisher. Soon everything fell apart. Several armed thugs entered the old building where Frank was hiding. They attacked with guns and explosives. The building erupted into chaos. Innocent neighbors were caught in the middle. They were terrified. But then something shifted inside Frank Castle. His obsessive fury toward Ma Gnucci began to fade. His anger moved in a different direction. He was now focused on protecting the innocent people around him. They were pulled into a war that was never theirs. Even so, Frank fought without mercy. He turned the narrow hallways into a war zone. He used pistols, knives, axes, and improvised shotguns. He fought with knee strikes and his bare hands. He killed the assassins one by one. He was brutal. He was relentless. Each fight was fast and very bloody. Frank was completely lethal. He left no one standing. The sequence made one thing clear. Even though Frank tried to leave the Punisher behind, something in him could not stop. He still felt the need to use violence to protect those who could not protect themselves, even if it turned him back into the monster he ran from. After that, Charlie, Debbie, and Dre were finally safe. The brutal attack on the building was over. Frank began to walk away slowly. He was limping badly. He had wounds, cuts, and bruises from the fight. Smoke filled the air. Sirens went off in the distance. The chaos slowly died down. Then one of the most human moments of the special happened. Charlie was deeply grateful. Frank risked his life to save them all. She timidly came toward him. She gave him a small handmade flower. It was a simple gesture, but for Frank it meant something very real. His life had been filled with only death and violence for years. Soon after, paramedics and police arrived at the building. The last surviving thugs ran. Neighbors slowly came out of their destroyed apartments. Frank said nothing. Later, the special showed Frank at a cemetery. His wife and children were buried there. He carefully placed the small flower Charlie gave him. It was like that little object carried a reminder. Somewhere out there, innocence and hope still existed. Frank had spent years seeing the world only through pain. He told himself that maybe he should keep going. That phrase changed the entire meaning of the ending. He tried to abandon the war. He tried to bury the Punisher forever. But Frank Castle made his decision. He was going back. He was willing to fight the darkness again, even if it condemned him to a life of endless violence. Then the final action sequence began. Mickey came back. He was the violent gangster who killed the puppy at the very start of the special. He told Frank how Mickey killed his pet. That pushed Frank's fury even further. He was furious. He felt complete contempt for criminals like Mickey. Men who destroyed innocent lives just for power or fun. Men who felt no compassion at all. Frank slowly came toward Mickey. Then he killed him. It was brutal. It was final. That closed one of the most personal conflicts of the special. That sequence confirmed everything. Despite all his attempts to escape the past, Frank Castle came back. He fully returned to the Punisher. He accepted that he could never separate himself from violence. He could never stop his need to punish criminals, even if it meant staying condemned forever to a life of blood, loss, and war. After that, the special ended without a post-credit scene that surprised many fans. Every MCU project usually sets up the next big event, but this one did not. This special focused entirely on Frank Castle as a raw, character-driven story. It showed that revenge only brings more suffering. His war on crime hurt the very communities he tried to protect, but Frank realized something very important. He could not escape who he was. He could choose what he fought for. His war now felt more human. That explained why he later protected the Sadie Sink character in the upcoming Spider-Man movie. Meanwhile, Ma Gnucci was still alive and free. That set up a possible sequel perfectly. It could be another special, a TV series, or a full feature film. Ma Gnucci came directly from the comics. Her story in the special followed the source material very closely. So while this special helped place Frank Castle firmly in the MCU, it also gave this villain a strong origin. She will very likely return as his rival in future Punisher stories.